Good morning, risers. Happy Friday. Welcome to today's show. Thank you for watching. Let's dive right in here. An animal rights group has levied a legal challenge to Elon Musk's Neuralink, accusing the neurotechnology company of causing monkeys, quote, extreme suffering after implanting experimental brain chips in the animals. According to the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, of the 23 monkeys involved in Neuralink's research, which ran from 2017 to 2020, at least 15 of them died or were euthanized. One monkey was found allegedly missing its fingers and toes due to suspected self-mutilation, while another died of a bacterial infection after it had holes drilled into its skull. Neuralink has confirmed some monkeys have died during experiments, but denied charges of abuse.
This alleged case of animal cruelty has reinvigorated debates surrounding the morality of conducting scientific research on animal subjects. In October of 2021, Dr. Anthony Fauci faced substantial criticism after the White Coat Waste Project accused the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases of funding research that involved forcibly infecting beagles with parasites. However, as one Twitter user pointed out, Musk makes Fauci's dog torture look like horseplay. Weird pun.
Yeah. Let's not do it to horses either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the other question is, why is Elon Musk pushing ahead with this research to inject Neuralink into our brains? Like, is that something that we're missing as a species? Do we need chips in our brains?
Yeah, they're claiming that the chip would potentially be able to cure certain illnesses like deafness and blindness, and that if you're able to insert something into the brain, that could then communicate. So the whole premise behind Neuralink is a little bit dystopian, right? It sounds kind of crazy. It's this linking brains with computers, and and they call it like the Fitbit for your brain or something. It's kind of odd and crazy, but of course they must have gotten somewhere with this. They're pretty secretive about all of it, but they must have gone somewhere with it because they were testing it already on monkeys, and drilling holes, obviously, inserting them into the brain. I would imagine you have to do that through brain surgery, through drilling a hole in the brain into the skull. And it looks like, like much animal testing, it didn't turn out so well.
As long as they're not making the monkeys smarter and then taking over our society, right? That's the.
That'll be Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, but
no, it sounds really horrible, and I that was a joke. But apes are very smart creatures. They have a lot of, they have compassion, they have emotion. They're social animals. There are nearest common ancestor, evolutionarily speaking.
Evolutionarily, that's a tough word.
Any words related to science today? I'm gonna shut up. But it's concerning. It's horrific.
Right, and that's what they do. That's what this animal research does. Like, almost none of them come out of it without being euthanized. Right. At the very end, once they're
right, and they say, yeah, we didn't abuse the animals. We just killed 2/3 of them. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they're keeping the others around to abuse them again.
Experimenting for sure. Well, and it's kind of a delicate question, because do we want to take, for example, medicines that have not been experimented prior?
Certainly if you're putting a chip in somebody's brain, they're probably going to want to have the kinks worked out before.
I mean, that's the complicating factor. There is, look, I think I would certainly accept, and probably most people would, I don't know about you two, like some amount of animal suffering or experimentation that does truly advance the social good of, like curing blindness, deafness, right? For all human beings, we would certainly say that. I would think we would say that 15 lives of 15 animals is worth that. I mean, it gets into some very uncomfortable utilitarian trade-offs, but I think most people would probably agree with that. But now maybe, if this is just, some guy's experimentation that's not even going to work, and it's just abusive and doesn't have value, but it's hard to know for sure.
I'm uncomfortable with all. I mean, it's tough, right? Because I'm uncomfortable with the thought of any and all animal testing, including on rats. I just think it's, to have a life form then be experimented on like that is very tragic. But I'm not a vegan. I eat meat. And so then I have to grapple with that. And then I have a dog, and my dog has to eat meat, and my cat has to eat meat. And, I grapple with all of these things on a regular basis. So there is, of course, life does have to end often in order for other life to continue. That is just the cycle of life, even in the wild, with animals hunting one another. But it does make me uncomfortable. But then we do have to ask these questions about medicines and procedures. Do we want to have humans be the ones first experimented on in order to cure these things, especially, for example, things that are for children? It's one thing if an adult signs up and says, experiment on me, fine, I'll do it. But it's another thing when you then volunteer a child for a medication for children
we're not gonna.
And I mean, one thing we could do quickly is stop making it be the default that every experiment must also include some type of animal experimentation, because that's too often the case where it's not even necessary for the effectiveness of the experiment.
But this seems kind of necessary.
This might. I don't know the details of it.
I don't think you're going to drill holes in people's heads and put a chip in them without trying it on a monkey first.
Right.
But I mean, in general, if we're talking about the scale of the suffering, you could probably knock 99% of it out.
Sure.
This, maybe not. This is just weird.
It's really tragic. But it is one of those questions that we have to ask as a society. How much of this are we going to accept? Are we going to just ban it all together? I mean, we've been talking a lot about animal experimentation. It makes us all very uncomfortable. Are we going to ban it? What are we going to do? Right. Are we going to just allow it and say, when these stories come out, then we just get sick to our stomach? But it still has to continue?
For cosmetics. We can ban it for things that are not, that don't have social public
scientific,
health. Right. Yeah, but I don't think you can ban it entirely. I mean, look, if we were going to cure cancer, but you had to experiment with this highly unknown substance on animals, and some number of them were going to suffer, I think you would do it. I mean, these are difficult thought experiment type trolley problem stuff. Do you save 6 people or one person? But I think even the most compassionate among us would still recognize that some amount of, I mean, it sounds heartless to say, I don't want animals to suffer. I love animals, but some of it is unavoidable. But I take Ryan's point that maybe 90% of it is avoidable.
Yeah. I mean, I just get sick thinking about, we just kidnap these animals. They have no say in the situation. They don't know what's happening to them. They get whisked off and they're just treated like scientific experiments, and it just makes me sick. It really does. I don't know. Maybe, part of me thinks, haven't we at least advanced to the point where we can maybe, if we can grow meat in a lab, right? They're talking about how we're going to, in the future, not be eating any animal meat anymore. We're going to be eating bioengineered meat. Can we not bioengineer the organs in order to?
That's one of the points, that for a huge amount of this research, you could do that type of thing, or you could just model it on a computer. Yeah.
Right. We don't need to do it this way.
Our torture of chickens, right, is the most immediate pressing. If you care about animal suffering, that we have so many, millions of chickens billions kept in horrific conditions. Live horrible lives. It's terrible to read about, and there are that many of that animal, and it almost dwarfs every other.
They're bred to be so fat that their legs can't hold themselves up, and their legs just break from their own weight.
This is a really depressing conversation for a Friday. I'm just saying. Oh, I'm sad.
But I guess that problem that I just raised will be solved long term by the more introduction of lab-grown meat substitute type things. Get your vegan burgers, that kind of stuff. I don't know, the Beyond Burgers, I think they taste just like regular burgers. I think they're fine.
The Impossible ones. The Impossible.
Ryan's not sold.
Impossible ones, I think, taste.
Maybe the Impossible. What's the difference between Beyond and Impossible ones?
They're just two different types of.
Yeah,
they're getting there.
I can't remember the one I like. I put so much ketchup and mustard on them anyway. They just taste like ketchup and mustard to me.
That's the secret.
That's the vehicle for ketchup and mustard. Anyway,
and
we will have more.
And pickles.
Pickles.
Gotta have pickles.
We'll have more Rising right after this.